Mahalo Lele. Welcome to Pasifika Wire. In this episode, we are joined by Labour List MP based in Papakura in Auckland, Anahila Kanongataa Siusioki. Anahila talks about the transition from working as a public servant to entering Parliament in 2017. She talks about the importance of housing, health and wellness, empowering the community and utilising the Tongan language to inform not only the Tongan community, but her wider constituency, and using her voice to advocate and serve at the government level.
Kia ora koutou katoa. My name is Anahila Kanongataa Siusioki. I'm the Labour List MP based in Papakura in Auckland.
And moving forward, Anahila, for you as a seasoned politician, you've been doing this for more than 10 years. You've been active in politics, in particular with Labour. So what has led you down this path into politics? Where's the passion come from?
Yeah, well, I was working at, it has many name changes, but at the time it was called Department of Social Welfare, Child, Youth and Family. In 2008, Helen Clark had just lost the election. She lost the election and we had a new Prime Minister. And after a year of being an experience with the new government, I didn't like their policies. I didn't like their ideas. And the reason why I didn't like them, because I believed that people were starting to be worse off in the national government of the time. So I wanted Labour to come back into government because I knew as a public servant working in the public in the government department, in my experience, Labour people were better off in the Labour Party under a Labour government. So I went online and I joined the Labour Party, but I first of all checked the reasons why did I join the Labour? Why Labour? Because my parents have always been Labour. So I checked the values, and my background is that I'm a social worker, and I particularly like the value of the Labour Party that talks about the respect and dignity and worth of all people, because that's a social work value as well. So I thought, this is the party for me. This is the reason why I believe that people are better off in Labour. So I went online and joined the Labour Party, and that's how I started campaigning for Labour in 2009. Because I like I said before, I wanted Labour to be back in government. So I went and just worked behind the scenes from where I lived at the time, which was Manurewa. So yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And every member or every person that helps out, nobody gets paid. The only person that gets paid is the General Secretary, and everybody else in the Labour Party are all volunteers. So we all have the same belief, share the same values, that people are better off under our Labour leadership who has the same values as we did. So yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's actually rewarding work to work with a group of people who share the same values. When my first caucus meeting, which is the meeting of the Labour MPs with the Prime Minister chairing, I was sitting there and I was thinking, I'm sitting here in a meeting of government ministers being chaired by the Prime Minister, and I have a duty and the responsibility to bring my best every time wherever I go, and I really believe that it is an honour and a privilege to do that. We have a short time to do it, and and I'm honoured to be someone who is a member of Parliament here in New Zealand, helping the community where I can. Population of Pacifica here in Aotearoa, social worker in my background, professional background, and a member of the community, bringing that into the conversation of policy development, where now this week announced our new changes that we're making to make it easier for people to own their homes, build more state houses, Kāinga Ora to build more state houses, because there's a lot of people on the waiting list. So it is really important to me. Housing for me is number one, because I believe that you will have to have somewhere safe to live before you can even start thinking about health and education. The way the leader has set it up is that we listen to,
Sure.
and also we listen to other opinions too within our own caucus. So there is a process where the Pacific contribution is valued.
What's been really encouraging is to see your bilingual blogs, your updates, and so utilising the Tongan language. Just how important is that, or how significant is that, having that ability to be able to, speak in both languages to the wider constituent? What's that like?
Yeah, you bring in a different contribution. When you speak another language, it's not just the language that you speak, but actually you bring in the culture and your. I tell people that it's a cultural intelligence, because with that intelligence, you don't go to a school to learn it. You learn that as part of growing up. It's part of your life growing up. And this, Gladys, social media these days, information, people sometimes can't tell the difference between what's fact and what's fiction.
Yep.
So for me, what's really important to me that the Tongan community, that because I have a skill, which is I speak Tongan, that the Tongan community understands the messages from the government. And I also try to say it in my Fobi English. English is a second language. And my English update is also so that people like myself who didn't speak English when we arrived here in New Zealand, Aotearoa, New Zealand, can also connect with my English. So, yeah, it's just another means of sharing the safety messages. And if there are government policies or new laws that's been enacted, then I also say that as well.
Thanks for listening. That was Anahila Konongataa Siusiuki, Labourist MP, based in Papakura in Auckland. Visit our website at www.pacificawire.com. We welcome you to like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to the full podcast with Anahila on Spotify. Whawhatai, mai ia manawia.